I once lost my job and experienced money anxiety for the very first time. It was a bad feeling. If you want to avoid money anxiety or learn how to deal with it, stick around. Welcome to Coaching for Dominion, the space where we learn life skills, pursue purpose, and have dominion in every area of our lives. My name is Victor Tibet. Today, we are learning about money anxiety and how to deal with it. Before I share the main ways of dealing with money anxiety, I just want to share the key and the most universal and the best solution that is above all. And that comes from the word of God in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6. And it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." It is my belief that as humans, we do not have all the answers to all situations, but God is a solution in all situations. Now, I'm going to share 5 scenarios that can cause anxiety and propose solutions for the same. So the first one is a situation whereby many people become anxious in their finances because of a problem of a constant bill called rent. I think many people can relate to this, that every month they have to pay money for their shelter. And people struggle many times because of reasons, for example, delayed salaries. For example, if you are also having irregular income, maybe you are a person dealing with contracts and your income is not very regular. Or for one reason or another, if you are in business, for example, your business is not doing well. You are in a low season. So you may have a problem paying your rent on time. And this will bring you anxiety because one of the things that you will encounter is that your landlord or your caretaker will not be so lenient on you, and you might experience the pressure. You might also have your access to your house denied. You might find a padlock in your door, and that is gives a very bad feeling. It takes away your dignity. It makes you feel like you're a failure. So in a situation like this, one of the things that you can do is that try to put aside money in an emergency fund. An emergency fund is where you put money aside for any eventualities. And for example, if you have an experience of delayed salaries, you may know that you may be expecting that there'll be times that your money is coming in and when you're required to pay will not match. So we usually recommend that you put money for about 3 to 6 months of worth of your living, just generally for emergency. And when now your salary has come, you put the money in the emergency fund because you have taken from the fund in the first place to pay your rent. That is one of the solutions. And one of the ways you can do that is to put your money in a money market fund. A money market fund is where you put in money, multiplies or it grows by earning interest. And also the access of the same is very easy. You can withdraw in 2 to 3 days. Another situation that brings anxiety is the loss of a job, the thought of losing a job. And many people depend on their jobs entirely. And when something happens for one reason or another, maybe they are fired, or maybe there's a retrenchment, or maybe the business that has employed them just closes down, then it means there is a problem because they depend on that income 100%. Now, what does that happen? That gives you pressure because you are unable to meet your personal needs. Imagine not being able to pay for your food, shelter, clothing, school fees, and those kind of things. And that brings a kind of a situation that is not very comfortable. If you are living in a urban setting, you may be forced to go up country, and you know that how that affects your confidence, your self-esteem, the feeling of being a failure, and so forth. So how do we deal with this problem? This eventuality can be addressed by having a money market fund or an emergency fund, which will, as I suggested earlier, of 3 to 6 months. So for example, if every month you are spending 100,000, it means for you to have money that is sufficient to run you for 3 months, you need 300,000. So you will need about 300,000, between 300,000 and 600,000 in an emergency fund, so that in case you lose your job, you have time to adjust. You have time to look for another job. You have time to reflect on what to do. And so you'll not be left stranded. So another way also is to try and open other channels for income. Just explore ways that you can raise money, make money using other alternatives so that you have more than one income stream. Another situation that may cause anxiety is what is popularly known as black tax. Black tax is the support that you give to family members, like your sisters, brothers, parents. And sometimes this becomes a bit uncomfortable because you are dealing with needs which are unpredictable. You might be in a situation where your family highly depends on you, and that causes you to be anxious because at any time you may receive a call requiring you to assist. Now, how do you deal with the situation? Because sometimes the family members can take advantage of your generosity, and sometimes also it is because they are really genuine issues. For example, your parents are sick, your siblings need school fees, so you cannot run away from it. So one of the solutions that we can do is to communicate to your family, to your family members, the people who depend on you, that this is the much I'm able to afford. That is so important because you need to have a balance in your life so that you do not take care of your family at the expense of your life, your progress in life, and even your own family, that is your children and your spouse, because that will eventually be a problem in the long run. Because if you are grounded, you yourself, you will not even be able to help them in the near future. So it is very important to communicate and tell them that this is what I'm able. Sometimes they relax because you have always been there for them and not communicating that you are struggling. So another thing to do also is to put up an emergency fund for them so that in case they call, you know that you have a pool where you take money to take care of them, where you can take money from and take care of them. Another way also that you can do this is to have, for example, a pension fund for maybe your parents. You can help them to set up a pension fund. Maybe you can sell a critical assets. Some parents actually have huge, they have assets, but they are very low on cash flow. You can help them to convert that to cash flow. Maybe you can take an annuity or an income drawdown. That is an insurance product. And you can also have another facility, another solution for them, which is, for example, medical cover. If a parent is struggling with a medical situation, or if you want to cover that risk of that unpredictable requirement for medical care, you can also have a medical cover. That will help you so that you know that you have taken care of most of the needs that they have, and you will not likely be anxious of receiving requests for money every now and then. Another thing that causes anxiety is school fees, education. And you can imagine how a parent would feel when they're not able to pay the school fees for their children. It's not a good experience. Or your children are required to go for a trip or that kind of a thing, and you're unable to provide. That leaves one in a very bad situation. Now, this you can solve by one, having a sinking fund. A sinking fund is where you put aside money specifically for a specific activity, specifically for a purpose that is identified. For example, you may want to every month to put aside a certain amount towards school fees, so that when schools open, you just take that money and pay the school fees. And even as the term continues, you continue again just saving a certain amount every month. That removes the pressure of looking for the fees when the schools open. So another way also you can do this is to have, for example, a life insurance. A life insurance. A life insurance is an insurance that restores the economic value of a person. For example, if you, in case of death, if you are anxious, for example, if I die, what will my children's education, what will happen to it? You can take a life insurance. That life insurance will offer that kind of a compensation. It will replace your economic value. That means the income that you would have made when you were alive will be paid for by the insurance, and the education for your children will be well taken care of. Now, the last one, cause of anxiety that I want us to discuss is death. Death, we know, is inevitable, and we might be worried. One could be anxious, for example, of what will happen to my family in case of death, or what would happen to me if my spouse dies. If I am, for example, 100% or 90% dependent on my spouse for living, that is, the spouse is a breadwinner, and I don't have any means of generating income. If they die, what would happen to me? Or if my family depends on me, what will happen if I die? So one of the products that solutions that you have for this is what you call life insurance again. And a whole life insurance is an insurance cover that will make sure that in the eventuality of death, or even if you become incapacitated, that you cannot perform any duties, you cannot generate any income for your family, the insurance compensates you for that. So I think that it would be the best way to take care of this anxiety of death. So those are the 5 causes of anxiety. Of course, there are more, but those are the ones we are able to cover today. Thank you very much for watching, for coming this far. Please interact with us in our social media spaces, our website www.coachingfordominion.com, and I look forward to more conversations like this. Thank you very much.